Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Rolling Rock Dave with another sit and go walkthrough, a little walkthrough session here of $5 and $45 sit and go turbo. And right away, first hand, we have action. Oh, if you missed it, I have 410 offsuit. 410 offsuit, and I pulled it. So, got to raise a 3-bet. Very coordinated board of 2 Jack Queen. Bet of half pop button. You gotta love the half pop button. Thankfully, the player says that button's there. Turn is 9 of hearts. Another half pop button. We gotta love the half pop button. And what does the button do? Who did 3-bet? My guess is the 3-better has ace of spades, or mate flush. Same time, and all in. And he did have the made flush. Did the caller have? So he flopped the flush, and having the ace king there is a very fine 3-bet. Thank you for watching, by the way. Thank you for tuning in. And Jesus, Jack 10. Once again, the pre-flop nuts. Pre-flop nuts. People love that Jack 10 hand. So, and people will have Jack 10 and hold on for dear life with that Jack 10. Once again, so ace king wins. Yes, Jack 10 will win, and you will flop a good shot at minimum. They say, play tight. Cindy goes, play tight early on. Jack 10, fold to that 3-bet. And then he pushed half pot button twice. Yeah. That's uh-oh. Anyway, so we're going to continue out the second hand here. The action gets folded around to the button at 40. Now, 40 is obviously a little stab here. I would bet a little bit larger, not too much larger. I'd probably bet around 80 or so, because 40 they'll just call with literally anything. So it's really hard to balance your range when you bet 40. So he did get called by small blind, got another call. He doubles his bet to 80, but it's another small bet. Like any pair here should call. And even at times like check raising bet because at 6 favors that small blind over the buttons range is an idea there. It definitely is an idea, but I like how the small blind did not go through with that bluff because it's very risky in a sit and go to make bluffs like that. So if I do get raised here from the button here, or even from the small blind, I will just flat call. The reason there being that I like to keep my range extremely wide open. The big blind, yet if they call, I have no qualms about raising at all. With good hands such as ace 10, or with like lesser hands too, like a queen 7 or something like that. So we're going to raise here with ace 10 here. Being a sit and go, we will be not just shoving our chips in. Of course, we're going to try and bluff when necessary and whatnot, but we're not going to just jam in there. If you like 3-bet to 300, we're not going to do much there. We would probably fold there and just take our 60 chip loss and call it a day. So the small blind there, Shiba did fold there, which is totally reasonable. Like I would also limp in with a wide range there in small blind, and then expect to fold a lot. Whereas a lot of times in small blind, I'll have a stronger hand that will take a raise, or even a really strong hand that I would potentially 3-bet with. So our third hand here, we have Sasso that open limp to 20 in late position. Got a hefty raise from the big blind, which is fine because the standard thinking here, so limper is going to call virtually any size raise when they do limp because they want to play the pot. So if they're going to call 100, they're going to call 120, and they're going to call 140, etc. Now this player in this case did not call the extra raise, but that's fine. Sizing by the big blind there. So now this hand, the very next hand, Sasso now raises. So now you can start assuming that Sasso has a range differential between what he limps with and what they raise with. Um, the likely thought here is that Sasso raises their stronger hands, limps in with their speculative hands, hoping to get a cheap flop. Gets called here in two spots, and the big blind leads out on a 2-6-3 flop for uh, 1/3 of the pot. We're on Sasso. He is, depending on the plays, like in a sit and go, I'm not here to bluff. If I have like king queen here, I'm not going to bluff here in a sit and go. It, there really is no point in taking huge chances when there are not many chips to accumulate. Remember, in a sit and go, there are only 9 players at the table, so there's only how many chips? There's 2,000 times 9, so 18,000 chips total. So the average chip stack that you would need to be in third place is 6,000. So you really only need to 3x your stack on average uh, to be in the final three. And of course, that's does not take into factor that there's a chip leader who a lot of times has half the chips at times. So the average of the other two players will be much lower because that player is going to have 9 of the 18,000 chips at times. So anyway, we're in the next hand here. Players are playing fairly tight, except that initial hand there that you saw, that was the Jack 10 versus the Ace King, in which the Ace King flopped the flush, and the Jack 10 went half pot all in, trying to get the guy off a queen, I guess, or something, because yeah, maybe the Ace of Spades only, Ace of Spades, King of Hearts. Anyway, we're in this hand here. Goes check on the river. On Sparties, like if I had a pair here, I'd bet. There's not many draws here that missed. 8-9 got there, um, and there is a fold by the player there. Hopefully my volume's okay. It seems okay, so we'll go with that. I have another really great hand here, 6 deuce. I'm going to play tighter than usual and fold this hand. Usually, never play this hand. Don't play this hand ever. You know, I don't even have to say that. That's just more. Gets folded around to Bora Bori. Call them Bori. That's 75, 2.5x, a very reasonable size open. Gets called by the big blind. This favors the cutoffs range dramatically. So I'd bet here a nice 60 to 70 is what I'm thinking about this bet size. Puts Sparkers at a really tough spot if they have like a queen 8 diamond type hand and check. This check to me more so represents a king or queen rather than a total miss. Um, Now, if they check again, it lowers it to more likely a queen. They bet here. I'm going to think they have a hand like King Jack and essentially. They do take it down with a bet there. Our next hand here, we have a 6-10, what I like to call double suited hand, in which I can, if I play this hand through, I have a chance at a heart flush and also a club flush. Also not a good idea to play those as well. So we're at Shubber Shubber, who is Shubber raises to 4x. Now this raise, unlike the 2.5x raise, I believe this raise is too large. And yeah, you did see Sasso limp, and you do know that they may call a few hands here and there. But at the same time, um, risking a lot. I say that in quotes because 122 is not a lot compared to your chip stack, but it's unnecessary to raise that much. That to what could be a 3-bet at times or whatever. So King Queen is definitely raisable here. I could, raise any amount. We're going to go one. Of course, I could raise one amount. We're going to raise 105. A little over 2x. The 5 is tax. It's just a little amount. Just add on there. Um, and we'll see what happens. I have a range advantage over whatever they call with. They're going to call with an enormous range here most of the time here. Um, they three bet it super strong because I'm opening for the very first time in early position, and it takes it down. So there's an example right there of me raising essentially minimum, and I get the same result as someone who the previous hand raised a little bit more than 4x. Now, if you're able to get the same result with less risk, is what I did. That is the play that you should strive to do. Less you risk, the more you can win per hand. So we have a three bet here. This is a second three bet that Sparty's made. Remember, this guy made the three bet with Ace King and eventually won. And there is a three bet here, which is extremely strong. King, King, Ace, Ace, cooler situation. Fine plays by both opponents, but this is that's just heartache anytime you have aces versus king. And there's no way king should ever fold there, and no way aces has another play. Go all in there. The three bet. So what we know about that, Spartus's three bet range is value. You know, I'm not saying he's a tight three better, but when we did see his two three bets, they do have value. And I did fold my hand to the min raise because, well, 7-3 sucks. I'm not gonna play that 10-3 because that's no good at all. So our next hand here in the small blind is 10-2. I will consider completing big blind here to get the idea to the big blind opponent that I am uh, limping win with a wide range, potentially raise here. I will fold to raise here in this specific instance. At the same time, I could have a hand like King Queen here, which I would call raise, or I could have it like King King, which I could call or three bet. So we will call here. Suited 10 deuce. We'll see how they react to a limp. And we will fold to a raise here. We will flop middle pair here. And we will start with the check here. That doesn't really accomplish too much. I could bet here because I would bet with the nothings as well. But we'll start with a check here, which does tend to say that I do have a 10 or 6 here. Or an ace. I guess I could limp in with an ace as well. They bet a good amount here, 52. We're not going anywhere with our middle pair. It's going to take a lot to get us to fold this hand. We did pick up a flush draw. Remember, the big blind is going to raise a vast majority of their aces, though they don't have many aces. Um, so I don't have to worry about that. They could have a 10 with a higher kicker, and they would bet that, and they will also bet a 6 as well. Um, I'm not going to raise or anything. The 10 has enough value here where calling is appropriate. I do lose to a lot of 10s. They could have that a 6, but yeah, I'm calling here with a flush draw as well. We don't hit anything else. 4 is basically a brick. We're going to check once again here. Now, they have not been super aggressive at all. I have to consider folding here because it's very difficult to do a 3-bet bluff here, especially when there's no real draws here. The only draw that was here was 7-8. Actually, that's a gut shot. 7-8 and 7-9 are the same gut shot. And all I have is a pair here. Really hard 3-barrel bluff. I could definitely have an ace here. 10 is not anywhere near the top of my range here. So I'm just going to fold that. The hearts got me in there a little bit more. And it's no big deal there. Had a lot of equity. There's a big chance that they shut down there. A 6 is not betting there for 3 streets of value. They could bet the turn there at 6, but they're not betting the river. Ace would definitely bet the 3 streets there. 10 could bet 3 streets, but remember I had the deuce, so I lose to all 10s. See, I don't like this 3 bet at all. I don't. So min raise fine, but the min 3 bet, you're just like telling this player you can call with anything. Even if I had super strong here, at times I would call because when they see you just call, they're like, oh, they can't have aces or kings, therefore I only can have aces or kings. I like to get that out of their head a little bit by having those hands. And we're not all that deep because this 388. If I call this 388 here with like a hand like aces or kings, that's already gonna be 1,000 with only 1,300 in each of our stacks. So, but as you can tell, he just folded to that
Hi, George.
to that bed there. So
Hello.
yeah, um, and I have to silence that. So I had some background program start running, and I can't have that on my video here. I could have edited that out. There's just a little edit. Maybe if you listen very closely, you'll know what it is. But yeah, so we're just doing this sit and go walkthrough right now. If you are, you know, watching this in the middle or something, yeah, hopefully, this is somewhat entertaining or somewhat you're learning something. And sit and goes are very important because any multi-table tournament, you are going to eventually um, get into the final table. And that's a lot of ICM consideration at final table. And what a sitting go will teach you is a lot of ICM principles when you are supposed to call, when you should fold because of ICM. Maybe you have a good hand that you would normally call with, but the ICM says do not call because you're going to lose a lot of value if you lose here. And if you win, you barely get any chip equity. So those are things to look out for. Now, Bori, they seem to me that they bet a lot more often. So there is a slightly higher percentage that my 10 deuce was good there. I really don't think it was in that case. I'm going to pull the ace three here. It's a little too weak to raise here with only 22 blinds. Just checking my volume, still fantastic right now. Um, oh, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, which you are, please like and subscribe. There will be more of this. Appreciate it very much. Um, yeah, so we have a min raise. Totally fine raise by Voracious to 160 to get a fold. We're onto the blinds here. Or Ori Dipgago has yet to play a hand. Has yet to play a hand. So when they play a hand, it is going to be a strong hand. We have 22 blinds. That's good enough to raise. If I had like something like 18 blinds, that's weird. I think I would fold. No, I would still raise. I'd still raise. That's sevens are too good to fold. But we'll do the min raise here. We'll do the min raise. Unfortunately, like if I do bust, like the table goes away. So that's all for the lesson. Ideally, I would like the table to stick around so I could talk through it. And they went all in here. This is an enormous all in. I still have like 20 blinds. My range is not that tight where I'm going to call in this situation. And their three bet is tight. This is an easy fold in my opinion. This stage of the tournament, no consideration to call in here at all. Sure, they could have sixes or fives or something like that, but that's very small percentage of what they could actually have in that. But as we're seeing here, Bori is definitely the most aggressive player at the table. Bet me potentially out of a hand, which I don't think they really bet me out of a hand, and they've been quite active, both pre-flop and post-flop. So they're playing a good game. They are playing a good game. So we have a min raise here from OW. Got a call from the small blind, which to me is like a hand like King Queen, King Jack. The pairs would be something like 8 7 6s. I imagine like nines plus three bet. Um, so it's a very tight range that a small blind could have here. They could definitely have King Queen, Ace King, Ace Queen would three bet here. The vast majority of time, not saying that they would. I don't like this open. You're not. Now what? Now what's the plan here? Another half pop bet of four or whatever. 474 or whatever half of 928 is. 240. So they might have a queen. They might have queen jack here and doing a little blocker bet because a king came. And they got called twice, so I think the small blind has a queen jack hand, which is in line with what a small blind range would look like to me. And we got 352, which does look like a value bet of a king or maybe a very good queen. Queen king plus, which is two pair. I could see an ace king. I could see an ace queen. Yeah, so I believe Sasso has something like queen jack, queen 10, very close. They had queen jack, OW had queen jack. So I would fold the queen 10 there in that spot in the small blind, queen 10 offsuit. I do understand players love the queen 10s and jack 10s and 9 10s and king 10s. Actually, anything with a 10 they love. Not really sure why. It doesn't really, it's a very, you run into a lot of problems that you see there. Um, so Sasso here has, 16 blinds? Isn't a tough spot because, in my opinion, it's too much to just three bet all in here. But at the same time, if you have a hand like ace five here and you get three bet by one of these guys, it's an awkward spot for you. So, what would I do with ace five there? I think I would go out of my 15 big blind rule for a little bit and go all in because last thing you want is like ace deuce or something like that shoving on you or king queen shoving. But if you shove there, those hands are going to fold. Oh, more than likely, which is fine. You don't want to shove in that spot. So we did get a min raise and a call. And 488 is the bet on the turn. Hopefully, like I said, this tournament goes, or I last in the tournament fairly long, so I actually can, walk through more of this. And I always have to, put that in my mind that when I do bust out, this table does go away, and it's unfortunate. I don't have the option of just having it in front of me. So we're getting close to push call range, push fold range, push fold, push call, push fold range, where my options are to push or fold. I think we got a limp from OW. OW raised with queen and jack of hearts. So does this limp mean that they have a hand weaker, stronger? Don't know. Don't know. A lot of times players limp with these with the blinds get a little shorter to trap a little bit. I have king six. Hopefully we flop kings and sixes. That'd be fun. We check, of course. How about king, which is a very, very good hand in this spot here. Um, and I don't really see me getting away with this right now. We're just going to call with the let him bluff here with whatever he has here. Uh, there's no sense in going all in at this stage. Eight's a brick. Um, I believe we're just going to call here, depending on his bet size. He checks back. We turn two pair. I would have checked the king there alone, but because we hit two pair, we can value bet more hands here. So we're going to go a little bit more than half pot. We're going to go 350. See if we get called by like a queen of some sort. Um, yeah, he didn't have much, so. And he did check the turn, so he's very unlikely to bet the river there. So that's why we bet there, try and get a call by a queen. I'd rather solid hand here, not bluffing into people. He is correct by shoving that blind stack as opposed to doing a standard raise. Right now we have 14 some blinds, 15 some blinds. This is, in my opinion, too many blinds to raise. Open shove. I believe I would shove this with 11 blinds. 15 is a bit much. Too much to risk for that many chips. So hopefully everyone's having a good day. Hopefully it's better watching this. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very, very, very much. 7-8. We will fold this. Blinds are now 75, 150. Turn it on the blind stacks right now. We have three players that are over 20 blinds and three that are under. So Three players, including myself. We're doing a push. We're pushing or we're calling. We're folding. Those are the three things we're doing. These players here can relax. They have more strategy. They can either raise, depending on their seat. So this player hit here, if I was this player, if I had a hand that I would raise with, I would just shove on these guys because they have effective 11 big blinds. But if I was someone over here shoving into me, like because I am short, you're going through this guy. So you're actually risking 24 blinds. So this player has to raise a more standard amount, just so this guy doesn't wake up with something and just knock him out, you know. And we're getting close to the bubble area, so further you go into sit and go, the higher the chip equities are. You don't want to risk that too much. See, I would just shove here, unless they are um, messing around with a very strong hand here. I do like a shove because if you do have like a skeptical hand or iffy hand, like a I don't know, like a queen 10 or something, getting jammed on there for another 8 blinds is not a good feeling that you really don't want all that much. Um, so yeah, yeah. So we got a min raise here. I think they're just going with the strategy of just like let's min raise a little bit here. That's what players do. And for two hands in a row, they all folded. But I am very inclined to think that the range is opening up to the point where players can safely three bet this player with them folding. I am willing to bet that. Now, the really, well, they still three bet into this guy. So this guy here is one of the three that has over 20 blinds. And these players here saw that this player now has min raised or raised three hands in a row, and also is the most active player at the table, both pre-flop and post-flop. So they should see this, and if they have any sort of hand that they feel like is ahead of their range, which is getting wider by the moment, they should just three bet all in here. Now this player here has the option of calling because it is only 150. They're playing versus a very active opponent here, and this flop actually favors the small blinds calling range here. Even though this player's range is wider and could have this, because it's so wide, um, just will miss this more often. Um, so they do bet small amount. I like their bet sizing because like they do have good bet sizing and they do not risk too much in any given bet. So I have to put that into consideration when I do shove into them, small blind versus big blind, because they'll probably call with the correct range and also put me on the correct shoving range. So I might have to adjust that a little bit. So they went small on the flop, which is, a lot of players do that, and then they went big on the turn. That's a very solid line. And Guzman is in a tough spot because they are one of the three players in good chip standing right now. And they have to say, do I want to risk 700 more chips? And then if I lose, I'm going to be one of these uh, four players. Yeah, four players. I'm sorry. I said three before, but it is four players that have, um, you know, 12 or under. And now they're under 20, which is still fine. They're still at 19.75 blinds, which is totally, totally fine. But they lost that 700, whatever happens. They're in a much different spot on the totem pole and a lot different strategy that they would have to use at that point. So, good fold around. This guy shoves. It's the second shove that they made. This one is not going to be as strong of a range by far as they did before. Because remember, the last time that they did that, they were raising with an earlier position because there was extra players here or extra player here. Sixes, we'll see what happens here. Depending on the range here, or range, the raise here and who raises from what position. I'd say that if this guy min raises, I'm very likely to just jam on this guy because, as I was saying, this guy did raise three hands in a row. They did skip that hand. I don't believe that really changes their range at all. I think they're just trying to um, take as many pots away. Yes, they could have a hand. They could have a hand. But because they're finding out that their min raise is being successful, multiple times in a row, they're going to keep doing it until it's not successful, which is a very sound strategy. Very good. And especially with this player calling here, this is a incredibly wide range. I may be called by them as well by a hand like Jack 10 or something, but sixes are ahead of both of these ranges, and I'm very, very happy to go all in here. So good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck, and we'll see what happens. Because even if there are chip player, it is a lot of chips calling off 1,400 more, and there we go. Yeah, so as I thought, this player is just raising a lot. Um, and you should just three bet this player quite frequently. Um, I needed a little bit of a hand because they did raise under the gun, so that does strengthen their hand a little bit, but not that much. They're all in here, standard all in here. Um, Ace Queen hits a queen. There's a king over here. Okay, so get an elimination. We're down to 6 players now. Yeah, 6 players now. So we're not even at the bubble yet. I have 11.7 board blinds. Um, I'm in better chip standing because I got those chips that previous hand. But shoving into the short stack is dangerous. The short stack, especially because, well, they have nothing to lose. Their chip EV is closest to 0, so they're risking the least of anybody else. Ace, now it's a fold. Ace 4 is a little too weak here with the limp. Limps tend to be a little bit stronger of hands in later stages. I think they're hoping for one of these shorter stacks to believe this is a. I could be wrong here at times. Sometimes they do limp in with the stick of hands like a 9-10 or whatever, but they should call it this. This is the shortest stack. If you're not willing to call it the shortest stack here, this is definitely a mistake to limp fold here. If you're not calling this, you made a mistake. Do not do this if you're planning on folding to any 3 bet. Yeah. Yeah, this is an error. I know it's only 200 chips, and you want to see a flop with 9-10, but don't do that. You know, that's unnecessary. Just keep your chips. If you want to play it, raise the hand. 400 may have uh, uh, prevented this guy from doing that. Maybe he saw that, read that as strength, and like said, no, thank you. I'm not raising my ace 10 anymore. But you limping, they saw that pit like, well, I have ace 10. I'm going to take all these chips. And then you have to fold. So just like chips that you're throwing away. Bum, 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 bum. So this player here should raise with a wide range here. Now, blind versus blind here, I would say you should shove 75% of your range here. You could throw in a limp or two if you want, if that's your strategy. Throw in limps with your entire range. You can't just limp in with strong because then players play with you enough. Well, they're not gonna put anything else but strong hands with your limping range. So they are in the tank. They did not lose connection. They are only in the tank. So we have 43 seconds. They just called. Okay. I don't know how this player exactly plays. Now they did just limp in a couple of hands ago, and they folded to a 3 bet. So maybe they are one of those players that wants to see flops and go from there and analyze the flops as they go. So they bet 200. We're on Chiba Shimmer, who has to consider. And this flop does hit a lot of hands, but it is blind versus blind, so it's not really guaranteed anything that they would hit anything. It's not. The ranges are 100% at this point. Especially the big line has 100% range. Small blind probably does not have 100%. They're not living with 100% of the range. Sure. It's actually quite much more narrow than 100% because, you know, now they bet 950. They are really claiming that they limped in with an ace there. 9 seer is fantastic. I have no problems with getting my chips in here at this point. This is ahead of everybody's range. No matter what happens here, this is ahead of like multiple all-ins. Um, yeah, this is an easy peasy call here. I can't fold at this point. Six players left in the tournament. Way, way ahead of this range. Nowhere close to the bubble yet. Good luck, good luck, good luck. We're up against Jack 9, which is fantastic. Ooh, they pick up a flush draw, which is unfortunate. Ain't at the flush. Yeah, not much I could do there. I love my call there. His shove was fine as well. I mean, you have to shove in that spot. Um, Now we're in a little bit of a rough shape here. Now we only have few blinds here. I could call here, but you know what? I think I'm gunning for like this player here next hand. Just a shove on him because it is half his stack. So I'm thinking that has more likelihood of succeeding than um calling there. 6-8, that's fine. If I get folded around, I will definitely shove on the short stack here. Um, Even if it is only 700 chips, so if 103 more chips, it is still a fair portion of their stack. So I'll just jam here. Um, Hopefully they fold, but if they don't, it is still like a rough call. Like calling 403 when you have 1154, it's not easy. If you have Jack 2 here, I mean, you had Queen Jack, which is unfortunate. He's going to take me down here, but he even thought about that too. He thought about folding the Queen Jack there, which I think is an easy call. But you put your opponents in a rough spot there, like when. So I had 6-8 there. If he had like Jack 2 or like 9-2 or any of those hands that technically do have me beat, they're in a rough spot there. And any other player with to call 402 more chips when the blinds are 51, 300, 150, 300, they'll call that in a heartbeat with any hand because it doesn't hurt them at all. So anyway, I hope you liked this video. Unfortunately, we did not cash this time around, which is fine. Life of a sit and go. But appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe, love all that stuff. If you want to find me on Twitch, my name is Rolling Rock Dave 33. Again, appreciate you watching and have a nice day.